We're talking to Pastor Pete Wilson from Crosspoint Church, actually where I happen to go. Now, you have the ability to turn a phrase at church. You're really good at it. And it's one of my favorite things that you say is hurt people hurt people. And I love that. But like in some of the things in promoting this new book, Let Hope In, these are my favorites. Your past is not your past if it's still impacting your present.
Yeah.
I'd like to say, bam, nailed it. Nicely done. What's your favorite turn of phrase in the book? Like a thing that you want to stick with people, you know?
I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, this idea of hurt people hurt people. I've heard that my entire life, but the way we kind of turned it was hurt people do hurt people, but free people free people.
Oh, look at you.
Positives,
man.
I really believe at the end of the day that's really what hope is about. I mean, we do. Hurt people continue to hurt people, but we've experienced this freedom through Christ that now gives us the ability to really breathe hope into other people's life.
Hope is one of those things that I've seen is in short supply around the world, you know, and you see it more situationally because of economics and things like that, and people don't have hope for the jobs or the future. We are... not morally bankrupt, but more emotionally bankrupt when it comes to hope. Like, our hope is a different kind,
right.
But I think that we definitely suffer from that here. And so is that what you're trying to introduce people back to in this?
Yeah, the idea is this. Everyone that you lock eyes with every single day has been hurt. No matter how well put together they may appear.
I was hurt this morning by Zach and Katie, both.
See, that doesn't surprise me.
I know.
It just doesn't, you know? And so we're all hurt. We all have pain. We are all in need of healing. We all need hope. Again, no matter how well put together we may appear. And this book really is about how do we choose to let hope in? Because I believe hope is not something that happens to you. Hope isn't something our government's going to give us. You know, hope isn't something you're going to walk out to the mailbox one day and discover. It's something that you choose, regardless of what's going on in your life. We can choose hope.
Really interesting, because like for me, I had to learn how to choose joy because it wasn't natural to me, and so that was a big turning point for me. And you know, I want to talk more about this concept and the book, and we'll do that in 10 minutes with Pastor Pete Wilson from Crosspoint Church and his new book, Let Hope In, right here on the Wally Show. I got to tell you, man, honestly, like, you've taught me so much stuff. I know you probably don't want to claim me as a victory.
I was just wondering, is that a good thing that he admits that? Do I really want that on my resume?
Yeah, exactly.
Pastor of Wally?
But no, I've actually gotten better. Like, over the last few years, like, my life has changed. And honestly, like, going to church and learning from you has changed a lot of things in me, and it's changed the way I see things. So I'm actually very grateful for that, for like a serious moment. I appreciate that. And
thank you.
Then when I take that and do it with Monday schools that we do, and I share what I'm learning from you, it's helping other people, you know, and it grows from that. So I'm very appreciative of that. What is the big thing that you really want people to take away from this book? Because obviously you put it out because you have a heart and you want people to live a godly life and a full life, you know. And so what do you want people to take away from this book?
I think at the end of the day, I really believe that hope changes everything. I mean, I really do. I've seen this work in so many people's life as a pastor. I remember getting frustrated a couple years ago because I'd watched so many people come and go from church that they wanted to make changes. You know, it's like every January, people would make all these New Year's resolutions. They want to do this, they want to do that. They really want to make a difference, you know, in their life. And yet what would happen often is they would go right back to some of their old patterns in their life. See this over and over again. And I started to wonder, do they just not want it bad enough?
Right.
Are they not disciplined? And I just started to realize, no, that's not it at all. And, you know, when we're asking the question of why am I not getting what I want out of life, I think a great follow-up question to that is, well, what am I holding on to from my past? And I think a lot of us are walking around holding on to things from our past, and we don't even realize it. So that's why I say your past isn't really your past if it's still impacting your present.
You know, because, yeah, if you don't learn to transform the pain that you experience, you're always going to transfer it to... look at him smiling. I'm just stealing things I know he's written. This is the advantage of going to church with him. I could actually do the interview as Pete,
That's right. Yeah, I was like, man, that was a really good quote.
That's pretty profound.
About halfway through, I was like, hey, that's my quote.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But it is true, though. I mean, that goes back to the things that I've learned from you. Like, you'll hear stuff coming out of this show that's directly related to things that you have said, you know, and actually that I'm trying to internalize and live out in my own life and stuff too. But that was a big one, man, because I deal with people that struggle and they've been hurt. And they can't figure out why they can't turn this corner. And I think it's probably because they're holding on to all of this other junk.
Yeah, and most of us just have no clue how that stuff is impacting us. And, and there's, this is kind of the downside, I'm afraid, of the culture these days in the church, too, is that we're often told, people don't want to hear your problems. People don't move on, don't worry about the past. But the reality is, until we're honest about our past, it's still going to impact us. Mm-hmm. Your best predictor of your future is, in fact, your past, unless there's some kind of monumental transformation that happens in your life. And I think that's where hope comes in.
Yeah, because you got the patterns and stuff that, I heard this guy, he was talking the other day, he was talking about, like, marry somebody based on who they are now, not what you hope them to be. Smiling again. That was from church the other day. I'm making you look very good right now.
You really are.
I listen. I take notes. See? It's getting into me.
Again, it amazes me and it scares me.
I'm incorrigible, I think. Now, you talk about, like, sometimes in church, like, it's just working in ministry, you get people that are very... Sometimes they're well-meaning, other times they're just mean, quite honestly. And you can use that as a quote sometimes because that was pretty good. I just made that up.
That was good.
There are people that are well-meaning and some that are just mean. How do you, do you deal with that constructively, or do you just, not even let it get to you? Do you not even consider it?
I try to deal with it constructively. I think kind of a discipline in my life is, I get a lot of unnecessary praise and I get a lot of unnecessary criticism. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of try to take both of those and not, I hear it, I listen to it, but it doesn't go straight to my heart.
Yeah.
It's in the mix there, but I've just learned to surround myself with people who can speak truth into my life. And then at the same time, I call them the grace killers, the people in my life that just have no grace.
Yeah.
My goal is you got to give grace to the grace killers, or you become one of them.
Yeah.
And so I work really hard to extend grace to people who I feel like are giving me none.
That was a big deal for me, though, because you and I deal with the same type things. There's when you put something out for public consumption, people have an opinion about it. And sometimes they are brutal. And I was having people really go after me, and it was two concepts. It was the hurt people, and I was looking, and I learned to read through their response and read between the lines and see, all right, where is this coming from? And then also extending grace to them when they didn't necessarily deserve it because of the way they came at me. When I learned to do those two things, it changed my interaction with people. And now all of a sudden, instead of me going back and dreading my email, because I know if I flamed somebody, they're going to flame me back. Right. We're going to be 5 emails into this. And it was like with trepidation, I would go back to my email. I don't have to do that anymore, and it's because I chose to handle them differently, and it makes my life look different because of that. And so that's another thank you. That's a big deal for me.
And I actually have watched you over the years do that, and it really, I know I give you a lot of grief, but it's been fun to watch you as you've grown just in your wisdom of how you deal with those situations, and at the same time, you haven't changed who you are.
Yeah, I try. I try to be a better version of me, and stuff like that. So I appreciate you giving me grief. I wish you'd give me a discount on the tithing, but I guess that's not going to happen. So Pete Wilson from Crosspoint Church, check out his book, Let Hope In. It's wherever books are sold. That's pretty much everywhere.
There you go.
So there you go. I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Thanks so much, Wally.